Well, today we got a classic example of the old saying, never judge a book by its cover. But before we get into all that, of course, I'm going to throw at you a couple things. My website, I did the rebrand. If you notice, the logo and some of the content, some other things are a little different from back in the day. BRawPodcast.com. Check it out. Everything you want to know about the show is there. You want to jump over and hit me up as well. Would love to speak with you. And of course, Live Rishi. These guys make high quality CBD product. Been using them for, longer than this show's been around. I demand a lot from my body, of course, as you get older. The old joints and muscles don't work like they used to back in the day. So Rishi Rub helps me keep it motoring down the road. Check these guys out. LiveRishi.com. Use the code word TABLE50. Looking at 50% off your entire order. You are welcome. Much love for supporting us and them who support us. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. Anyway, jump over there. Live Rishi, good stuff. All right, man, we're going to get on to this show. Be Raw Podcast. Thanks for jumping in. If you're a new listener, I do two types of format within the show. You're about to listen to a 90-minute full-length episode where I have a guest on or guest, and that's where we get into a lot of stuff, get deep into it. You can't hide in a 90-minute conversation. I love a good small clip, and that's the other end of what I do. Once a week or one every 2 weeks, I'll put out the 90-minute episode, and then in between, 5 or 10 to 15 minutes of me just ranting and whatever's on my heart and in my mind, and I call those B-Raw Bites. I go live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and going back to my website, you can check all that out, follow along. Would love to have you. Well, all right, let's get on to this show. Today's guest, it's tough to describe, but it's amazing, and I mean all this in a good way. This lady is super intelligent, loves the arts, all sorts of arts, science, painting, travels, speaks a bunch of different languages. The enthusiasm is contagious. And a big part of it is she's fearless, the way she goes about life. And to give you a small example of how fearless this lady is, she sat on a chair in front of a crowd, reading her book out loud, naked. Well, somebody did body art on her. But you know what? I'm going to let her tell you all about that. Let's get to it.
I always edit templates, so it's never what I really want.
Who's your website? Like, who does it, or what company is it?
I do it.
Yeah, but is it like Squarespace or is it Wix
The template?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the cool thing. It's HTML with a CSS.
Fuck all that, dude. Yeah, you're on your own on that. I had to use Squarespace because and then you click and drag and you can design all that stuff.
I don't click and drag. I type, although, you cannot say I program because HTML is not a programming language, but I code. Yeah, code. At least it's code. Sure.
Oh, well, good for you. Good for you. No, that's amazing. So,
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Everything you say now is going to be on the internet.
Oh my God.
Right?
Okay.
Where are you hailing from?
I am in Italy. Central Italy, the boot. Central Italy, let's say close to Rome, but not in Rome, the same region, actually in the countryside.
So have you been to Rome?
I have. I fell in love with it the first time I visited many years ago, but it grew more and more chaotic, so I really try to stay away from it. That's why I stay in the countryside since COVID, of course.
So like when you see an advertisement for the Colosseum, there's like 5 people there, but when you go there, you can barely walk through there because there's so many people, right?
Yeah. It's not like a perfect romantic weekend with your significant other, just you, him, or her, and the Colosseum. Yeah, and 1,000 other people.
Yeah.
Half of them trying to sell you roses.
Oh, really? Oh, a lot of vendors trying to hawk you stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah, or gladiators to take a picture with you. Yeah, of course. I mean, of course.
Yeah, capitalism. It's amazing. So That would be like, you ever been to Times Square in New York City?
I have. I was going to mention that it's the same thing, just you don't have gladiators in
You
Times
got
Square.
you got Mickey Mouse and Superman instead of the gladiators, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah, I've
awesome.
been there. I was in New York up until everything shut down due to COVID, and then I was sent back home.
Oh, so you are an Italian native.
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
English is not my first language. I'm rather fluent, but I'm yeah, native sounding wannabe. It's not my first language. Sometimes I make mistakes or look for words or just sound
Different.
like an idiot. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like an idiot. How many languages you speak?
I say 7, but 2 of them badly. And I don't even mention German. I took 5 years of German in school. I didn't like it very much, not to say I hated it. So I remember some grammar, but I don't even count it. So they would be the 8th.
So, but in German, if you go to Germany, you could do enough language to find the bathroom.
You don't even need to ask, honey. It's always at the end of the hallway to the right.
Oh, to the right.
Everywhere.
Okay. I'm all, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. To the right. I love
Yeah,
that.
I once
love
asked
saying.
that. I asked that in Portuguese, in Portugal, in Portuguese once, and they say "no fundo à direita." I didn't know how they would say that, but I understood what they meant. "No fundo à direita," and it's a silly mean that I asked. Of course, it's like down the hallway to the right.
To the right. That's amazing. Why so many languages? Just out of curiosity or necessity?
I was born bilingual, Italian and Slovenian, and so you take that for granted somehow. And then you have to learn English. You just have to. But the thing is that you don't really learn English by going to school in Italy, although English is taught. That's a whole long story we could talk about. It's like there's something in the way English is taught in school that doesn't work because you do it from elementary school all the way to when you graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't speak it, don't speak the language. And that's how I make part of my living now that I live here. I just teach English privately to kids or adults. It's just a thing. I don't know if you knew, but it's how it is. Like a little bit in Spain, or there are some countries where people are not just obviously fluent in English, or they could switch, like the Dutch, Germans, or Swedish people. They just have it. Here, it's not like that. So I did learn it in school, but I learned English this well just out of sheer willpower, and only then by traveling, but with music a lot, and all before the internet, by the way. So English came into my life. Fell in love with French at some point.
Oh, my wife speaks fluent French.
I just fell in love with the sound of it, and I couldn't study it in school. So I was stubborn enough to say, well, I want to, very stubborn. I said, now I'm going to learn French. And again, with music a lot, it's amazing how learning lyrics by heart, like tons of them, music that you like. So it's not an effort. You memorize the lyrics and you have a whole vocabulary.
Sure.
Ready for use. Music is a great way to learn the language. And only then I went to France with some scholarships to kind of polish my grammar. And so then I lived in Belgium and I studied Flemish, which would be Dutch. I love it. I really love it. And it's very close to German, but I love Dutch. And like I mentioned, not fond of German, but by studying Dutch, if I went to Germany, or actually when I went to Germany recently, I was surprised by how much I could understand, because now the Dutch helped. And Spanish, I took 3 years of Spanish in school. And of course, being Italian, it's easier.
Sure.
So I don't know how many there's Italian, Slovenian, English, French, Spanish, Dutch. And one that I cannot really say I speak would be Portuguese. I understand a lot, but I cannot really speak well.
You wouldn't be able to hold a conversation, but you could get along with it if you had to.
Yeah. It's funny because they tell you that there are these levels of how well you speak a language. And they change the rules sometimes. Now I think that it is by context, like the basic level is tourism, like to ask just what's the way to the Colosseum or where is the bathroom and stuff like that. And the more you get advanced, you can have a conversation at your workplace, and then philosophical stuff. I'm not sure it goes like that. I have my own theory about language learning. So there would be languages where I could understand and I could get by. Like I could get by, but I sound ridiculous.
Right.
It's like me speak a little bit like this, but I get my point across.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't speak the language well, but I manage.
Now,
And yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, so I hear quite a bit that the English language is a tough language to learn compared to other languages. Is that is that true for you?
I would say that up to a certain level, it's rather easy. Depends, you know what? It depends what language you come from.
Okay.
I mean, you see, all of these languages I told you, wow, so impressive. She speaks so many languages. They are all European languages. I'm Italian. So once you speak Italian, to speak French and Spanish is just like a small step to the side, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
It's almost about learning the differences. It's not a whole new language. I tried to study not to study Arabic. It's that I lived in Egypt for a short while and I picked up a little bit, but it was so damn difficult. And I tried to study Chinese just to understand how it works from scratch on an online course properly from the ABC. And I think I quit at B. It was just too different.
Right.
Too
right.
different. And yeah, maybe I didn't have the love for it, because I think that when you love something, your brain is ready to embrace it. You open up to that thing. So
yeah, and if you don't have a passion, and this goes for anything, not just language, if you don't have a passion for it and a love for it, the as soon as you get a little bit of resistance of it, you're going to be like, I'm out. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think the love of something carries you through the time where it's difficult. But you could say
Do
that
you
about
speak
everything.
other languages?
Sarcasm. That's
I'm fluent.
Oh yeah. So my our son, he's 18 months old, and from the beginning we've taught him rudimentarily sign language. Right? He knows a bunch of little words here and there so he could communicate with us. Because when he's 13 months old and a year old, he knew it by then. We were looking forward and saying, if he's not physically talking, it could be very frustrating to communicate, right? So if he wants something, him pointing and grunting at it, I don't know what the hell you want, right? So it's this, or what? So right from the beginning, we've taught him sign language, and that's helped tremendously, and it's helped me too. I know a little bit now, and it's just, please, thank you, you're welcome, more, I'm all done, let's go, come on, move, all this kind of, these kind of things.
Yeah.
And of course, mom, dad, I love you, that kind of thing. Yes, no. And
what else do you need? What else do you need,
that's what,
actually?
right?
Come here, go there, give me that. I don't want. Yes, no, mom, dad, I love you, I hate you.
That's it. And
you know where the bathroom is.
That's it. He points and he'll say, he'll point and he'll say more, right? And look, now he can physically say it. He'll point and go, more, more, more. It's cute. But what's fun is the vacuum cleaner. He is not a fan of the vacuum cleaner. So when the vacuum cleaner gets fired up, he runs over to it while it's running, points at it, points at me, and goes, all done, all done, all done, all done. And he'll sit there and say that until you stop, till you shut it off. And then for a few minutes, or not a few minutes, but for a few seconds after, he's like, all done, all done. I go, yeah, we're done, buddy. And he'll do that until you put the cord around it and put it in the closet. And then he doesn't say it anymore. So it's kind of fun. But so then my wife reads to him and speaks to him in French, right? And then the school he's in teaches him Spanish because around here, you got to know
You're
a bunch of
talking about a
Spanish.
different son.
No, my son.
18 months old.
Yeah, they teach him
18
how.
months old? He's been exposed to Spanish in school?
We put him in school when he was 4 months. And from day one, they speak to him in Spanish and English, of course. But so like we'll get on the elevator. We live on the second floor. And I'm like, what floor are we going to, buddy? He's like, dos. Cool. That's 2, right? And I hold up my fingers. I go, that's 1, 2. And he goes, 1, 2, dos. I'm like, all right, well. So, and then they sing to him in Spanish. But so somebody asked me, goes, geez, how many languages are you going to know? I go, 4. Well, 5 really. English, sign language, French, and sarcasm. I'll teach him sarcasm. So don't worry about that. Because my wife and I talk back and forth in sarcasm. So he just picks that up. It's not even a, he just, what do they say? A kid's greatest superpower is they copy you. What's the word I'm looking for?
Aping would be pejorative. They just mimicry.
Mimicry is their greatest superpower. And I see it all the time. Like I'll do something. Was it this morning or last night? Well, it was either this morning or last night. I did something. I was like cleaning up or I moved something and I see him do the exact same thing. And I look at him, I go, what's up, buddy? He's like, more? I go, okay. So I do that action again and he copies me again. So he just mimics me too. It's like a mirror.
That is amazing.
But the brain it's amazing. It's just a big sponge, especially his age. No matter what you put in it, that's where it stays. He has not been manipulated by the world yet to know deception and deceit and manipulation. So all he's known all his life is nothing but love. Everybody that he comes in contact, and they just grab. Well, I take him to the playpen thing, like indoor play park, and some kids teach him some playground rules, but some playground theory, and I let him go to a certain extent, but the bigger kids come over and try to bully him, and I got to step in. But I don't mind him. A few kids showing him how to act in the playground, and he'll knock their hand away or he'll walk away from them. So he knows that this is not right. I'm not comfortable. I'll walk away. But then they'll follow him and, and they're 3 times his size. And I got to go over there and be like, hey, what are you fucking with my kid for? But anyway, language and it's just I'm always fascinated with language. I've never gotten multiple languages. When I met my wife, she would speak to French to me. I'm like, I have no clue what you're saying, but keep talking. You could.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. My cough button is broken, so I have to. But or science communicator. What the hell is that?
Well, that can be many different things.
Okay, so what does it mean to you?
What it means to me is at first how it started, since I was a researcher, it started as my will to interview people that were working in my field, but rather neighboring fields, to learn about what they do without necessarily going into the nitty-gritty of what they do, because science is all that. Everybody does something in a big field, but then they have their own super tiny niche. Right. And I was traveling a lot when I was a researcher before COVID, and I was meeting all these amazing people. And at the same time, I was listening to podcasts, etc. And at some point, it just came together. And I thought, I think I should have these interviews on tape, which is exactly what you do. You're just collecting stories that someone may be interested in. It can be more scripted, less scripted, free flow, personal stories, or something about your profession. That I felt was just of value. And so I started my podcast, Technoculture, in 2018. By interviewing fellow scientists like that, but in a way that could be accessible for everyone. Because I liked to think of my audience as not made out of people that have any specific knowledge, prior knowledge to listening to the podcast, but they're clever people, so that if you explain something to them, they will get it. So we can talk about anything we want as long as we don't take too much for granted and we speak clearly. Every concept is clear in context. So that is why it's a podcast for everyone, why it's science popularization, because you don't need to be an expert to listen to it. But the people speaking on the podcast, they were always experts of some field, either in technology or something related. Technology is a huge field, so cybersecurity or robotics, and then transhumanism and the human body, the flesh merging with machines, or the arts and performing arts, especially when technology is being used and all of that. And then I developed that, and it started expanding. So it moved to, I spoke about COVID, I spoke about the technology is always somehow present, but it doesn't need to be about the technology. Actually, that's what my podcast is not, because you will have podcasts where they talk about the latest technologies. My podcast, we talk about technology and research, but it's almost not a pretext, but a lens through which to observe how society evolves, how this technology impacts society. Why do these things emerge? Why now? And all of these things.
I like, I'm a huge fan of all that stuff. I like it when probably somebody that just about everybody knows, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson? Tyson.
Yeah. Astrophysicist.
Yeah. I enjoy him on TikTok because they're short sound bites, right? They're only like a minute long or 2 minutes long. But the way he talks, he doesn't make me feel like an idiot. Right? So that's what you're saying. So you get these people on here that are specific in a specific field that they could probably melt my brain if they wanted to talk. Like if they were talking peer to peer, they'd probably melt my brain. But on your show, I could understand, be like, no shit, and just having fun listening to them talk, right? Is that a good assumption of what you got going on there?
Well, I'll say more. I'll say that scientists really need to be good at talking about their field, because they will not exactly take you to the very details of what they're doing or the advanced stuff. Very much not because other people are less intelligent, but just because there's so much context you lack.
That's true.
Knowledge in the field. It's almost like, a soap opera where you've missed the first 1,000 episodes. It's not that you're less clever. It's just that there's way too much to tell to get to where we are right now. Right?
I like that a lot. I like that.
Do you like?
That's a great description.
Exactly.
That's a great description. Yep.
And on top of that, by, the scientists who normally just work in the lab or their head is focused on their super niche, they may not be good at talking about their science, not because they cannot make it easier and understandable, which doesn't mean to dumb it down, just means to make it understandable. In fact, when you talk to a child, when you talk to a child and want to explain them something about death or how children come into this world, big stuff, or how to deal with a big disappointment or a fight with another kid, that is huge stuff. But you can, it's difficult, but there is a right way to talk to a child about those things. And you're not dumbing it down. You're just probably very much, it's difficult speaking with a pure heart, because you need to have it right in your head first.
Yep.
Anyway, this was a little bit of a teacher. What I want to say is that when a scientist talks about their research in a way that needs to be for the wider audience, they need to understand how what they do fits in the big picture. And not many scientists are good at doing that, just because we are normally not trained to do that. We're trained to dig deeper, dig deeper.
You're
And so
like
it's,
you're narrow and deep, right? So you're looking at a narrow thing, but you're digging super deep. You're not wide and shallow. That's
yeah,
kind of the way I
actually,
look at it.
you will throw some scientists off balance if you just ask them point blank, why do you do what you do? What is this for? Because they don't even ask themselves that question. They just work on that thing. In order to ask yourself something about the big picture, which can be why do I do this, or how does it all fit together, you need to stop and take a step back. And you don't do that because you're the
Right.
researcher that digs deeper. You're trained to do that. Then maybe you have other people whose role is to make these meta reflections, not only philosophers. Maybe the science communicator can be that person that mediates between the deep digger, how do you like that, and the surface floaters. Haha.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
And I like how I'm not a fan of the phrase, of course, throughout my life, I used it. It's like dumb it down, right? I don't, I guess it's out of ease or out of culture that we use that, but it's the way you're explaining it is cool because I'm not dumbing it down, but I'm explaining it to you in a way that you can, and you using it, obviously it hits home with me talking to a child because now I'm sitting here having an adult conversation with an 18-month-old and he completely understands me. And you're like, of course he can't communicate back to me, but I'll be like, this is why we don't do this. And I'll tell him why, right? I'm not dumbing it down. I'm explaining it to him. Like you said, that was amazing.
Absolutely.
Out of my heart. I'm explaining it to you, what's in my heart. And those scientists and other people that are so dedicated to their field, and that could be across the board, not just scientists, that's in their heart, what they're doing. And and like you said, that would throw them off. Why do you do it? What do you mean? Why do I do it? Like, just what I do because I love it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Again, not many scientists will be good communicators, which they don't need to be necessarily, because their job is to be in the lab. It's not their job necessarily to also be good communicators and good teachers and good mentors. That's a lot to ask of one person with one job. But people like the astrophysicist you just mentioned and other people, they're good because they can answer questions like, what are the chances of an asteroid hitting Earth? Which is not really a research question that one researcher will research.
Right.
But it's something that is very relevant. It's something that people would turn their head and listen to the answer to that. Questions about COVID, questions about many things that are big questions. There's no one researcher working on those questions. So if you're able to answer, it means that you have a thorough knowledge of the field, but also can, like you said, dump it down. I'm so tempted to use that expression. But that's not what we mean. To say maybe that, so the way he explains things when he goes on Stephen Colbert's show, so we have this ball here, which is the sun, and you have to pretend that like something as big as a baby grand piano is traveling. They talk like that and you understand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's got a way about him, but because he came to, my wife is in the nonprofit world with the arts, right? So she runs, it's New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and she's in the corporate side. So she goes to big corporations and asks them for money, right? To support the arts. So these types of people come to this place. It's one of New Jersey's biggest performing arts center. So comedians and all that coming. Tyson was coming, and my wife's like, "You like that dude?" I go, "Not for an hour. No, no. I give me 5 minutes with him talking. I'll be like, I'm done. He's entertaining, and I like him again. TikTok is perfect, or YouTube Shorts are perfect. because they're 2 minutes at a time. It's all energetic, and I'm like, it was cool. Next, but
Right.
that's
So
just my.
different. I don't even use TikTok. I tried and it just didn't work for me. And I thought, I'm old. I'm just old.
See, last was about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I got on it because I listen to this guy and I just enjoy listening to him. You know, we all have people that we enjoy listening to and like their advice. And he's like, it's not for, TikTok's not just dancing teenage girls anymore. You know, there's business on there and there's just different stuff. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to get on there. And I've gotten a lot of good responses from it. I've met some amazing people. There'll be guests coming on this show that I've met on TikTok. And just like everything else, it's the algorithm, right? If you look at my Facebook page, it's nothing but memes and people showing that they're at the football game with their family and, fun stuff like that. You look at my brother's Facebook page, it's nothing but politics, right? So it's whatever you're looking at, that's what they're going to show you. There is
more.
Exactly. More. But there is this guy, because people are like, oh, they're forcing stuff down your throat. This is what they're showing you, and this is because that's what they want to show you, and that kind of thing. So he did this experiment where he did nothing but look up puppies for 7 days on all platforms. And within 4 or 5 days, not even, I think he said 4 days or 5 days, whatever it was, his feed was full of nothing but puppies. Every single feed, all his advertisement, because they pop up advertise, right?
Yeah.
Everything was for pet this and pet that and puppies this. So it's an echo chamber. So going back to what you said about TikTok, if you look at my TikTok feed, it's comedian clips and inspirational stories like people that fucked up their life and they're getting back on track. And this is what I do on a daily basis. That's what my feed is full of, because that's what I look at. So, if you look at nothing, if your friend is, I'm 45, 47, and some of my buddies are like, there's nothing but naked girls on my TikTok. Well, that's probably what you're looking at, dude. Look at mine. There's no naked girls on here. So it's not TikTok. And the other thing too, this guy I follow, he made just amazing good point. Social media is empty. It's an empty platform. Do you know that?
What do you mean?
There's nothing on. Nothing gets put on all these social media platforms except what we put on it. So it's not sure. Right. Do people buy advertisement and everything? Of course, it's capitalism. This whole country is built on capitalism. I don't mind that. But if you think Instagram is the devil and ugly and this, that, and the other one, just fucking turn it off. The other thing too is that's what people are putting in it. It's not Instagram putting these posts up and yelling and screaming about everything. You can easily have your feeds full of whatever you want to put in it. Me, again, memes, jokes, that kind of thing. And that's what is in my feed. But anyway, I think you should be. The stuff I'm going to ask you here, because I got a list. This stuff belongs on TikTok.
What?
The woods thing and the body paint.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you get on TikTok and mix that up. All it is like I'll be driving to somewhere and I'll just pop the thing open and talk for a minute and post it. Or I love creating stuff. I just love creating posts and stuff. So that's what I put on it. But what you did with the body paint, I got to ask you about that. What inspired you to do that?
I was obsessed with body paint. I've been obsessed with that for many years, and it's not something that I don't know, I needed in my life to the point that I would seek someone that does that to get it done, or maybe pay to get it done. I just knew that I loved it and that I would like to try it one day. I actually got a face paint in Belgium back in 2018 with a great artist, and that is the cover art of my podcast.
Is that the one on, like that looks like a computer chip?
Exactly, like a motherboard.
That's amazing.
That's not photoshopped. That was a face paint.
That's amazing.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Beautiful. I wished it was permanent. Just beautiful.
permanent?
And
You mean like Mike Tyson on his, the tattoo on his face?
I love it. Love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was so good. Like if you looked very close, I could look from a mirror, but my friend photographer looked when his eyes and he said, even if you look closely, it really seems like someone peeled your skin away and underneath there's that, because this girl was just not good with the design. She was trained in doing special effects for video, etc. So the line that I had crossing my face really, not just in a picture from afar, if you looked close, it really seemed like it was peeled away. It was just gorgeous. It was beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, because on your website, I blew up the page, right? So when I looked up your website, I magnified it because I wanted to see the detail in it.
That would be not the website that is on screen right now, the federicabressan.com. That would be podcast.federicabressan.com.
Okay, no problem. We'll put the link in the show notes.
Because, I have different websites for the podcast or for my professional profile as a science communicator. Then there is my site as a researcher, which would be research.federicabressan.com. They're pretty easy.
Okay. No problem.
So podcast.federicabressan.com, or you just Google Technoculture Podcast, and that what comes up. And on the main page, or if you look Technoculture Podcast in the podcast apps, you will see that's the cover art. That's beautiful face paint that I got there. And I was very excited about it. And I was already dreaming like, oh, what if my entire body was covered with this? Beautiful. And then recently I did have this idea. I don't know, maybe someone proposed it to me, or I had the idea to do a book presentation for the novel that I just published as a performance, where I would read passages from the book. Maybe there would be some music or, something that creates a story while someone is painting a landscape of Tuscia, which is the name of the region where I live now, on my body. Because I'll tell you a bit more about the story in the book if you wish, but it created a poetic effect, an artistic effect. And I got just, let's say, a smaller design on my back in July this year, 2022, but beautiful again, because it seemed like, in this case, it wasn't peeled away, but my back was cracked like rock. And inside was this beautiful landscape.
Oh, that is awesome.
Awesome, beautiful. And it was done live on stage by this artist while I was reading the book.
Is that on a video? Did you tape that?
Unfortunately, I have clips. I
Okay.
know. I know.
Okay.
Don't tell me. I wish I normally document my own things. I'm a pretty, advanced level selfie queen with my tripod and stuff. Like many pictures you see of me on my social media are actually selfies, but you would never guess they're selfies. But sometimes when I would really need to move the camera, come close, I cannot do that. And I'm not Mariah Carey, so I don't travel with a team of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last performance was recently, and I got a full body paint. Again, presenting my book. It was just amazing. What can I tell? I'm crazy about it. The results, I loved to have it on my body at least once to get the feeling, but also to see it on other people's bodies. I think that basically everyone should be painted from head to toe, because the body looks great. It's as if you didn't see the defects anymore. Just even a regular looking body became beautiful for some reason. It's just amazing. I love body paint.
I got goosebumps. That's amazing. I saw the picture. Now, did you get head to toe?
I did. I got head to toe on my back. only the backside of the body in a performance. So I was standing, just with this tiny, super tiny underwear, and otherwise naked. Something for not a bra. You can't wear a bra on your back. It was
Yeah, just got like pasties or something.
keeping my hands up with something, but you're fundamentally naked except that little piece of underwear that is normally, that pink color, like the skin neutral color, so it's
Neutral, sure.
already
Now,
invisible.
and this is
And
in
you
front
get
of a
painted.
crowd.
It is in front of a crowd. Some people
Ah.
it's not really like something you sit down and watch from beginning to end. People move away. It's normally this type of event, but there
Oh,
are,
okay.
there's secondhand, what do you call it? This market, some food. People move around. There's music maybe, and then you're there, and there's this body painting performance also because it takes a long time, at least 2 hours to full hours if you want to do anything. And so I got this full body thing from head to toe, and I would say, yeah, I loved it.
That's
What can
that's
I
a great
say?
that's a great story. I think that's amazing that to I wonder how many people are cringing right now listening to this going, you basically stand naked in a flea market. We call
Yeah,
them a
yeah,
flea
yeah.
market, right? Okay. You're basically standing naked in a flea market and people are walking by watching you get your body painted.
It's art, and what I love about it, before I just sound like an advocate for body painting, is that always, in general, regardless of the book, I think that many experiences in life are actually felt in your flesh and
Sure.
remain not just as memories in your head, but in your flesh, in your body.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I love a quote that says that childhood does not remain in your thoughts, in your memory, but in your, I forgot the word, but say in your bones. The name of that
Oh.
substance that is inside of the bones,
Marrow.
what is it?
Marrow
Exactly. That's where childhood
remains.
remains,
Ah,
right?
that's amazing. That's a great quote.
Yeah, that's deep. And
Yeah.
so to paint stuff on your body is very expressive, at least for me. I have some tattoos, but nothing that would really be such an artwork. And
Right.
the story that I decided to tell in this novel that I happened to write and publish this year has to do with an experience that has to do with love and an encounter, but it's not like a love story. It's through love, mostly an adventure of life and self-growth and overcoming some existential questions, hard questions. And there is the story is very tied to this territory, which I also learned to know and to love because I wasn't born. I'm Italian, but this is not where I was born. I was born, like I said, on the border with Slovenia. That's why I grew up bilingual. And so there are images and feelings that were very strong with me, and I visualized them, and actually to have them materialized on my body just feels extremely satisfying, because it's the type of satisfaction of when you want to express something and you successfully do it. It's like, this is how I feel exactly through this
The-
art form.
Sure. No, that like I said, that's just crazy amazing. I think that's why I wanted to ask you about it. Now going back to what you just said, to where you're expressed, you feel that you're expressed through that art, like that paint.
Yeah.
When it was being painted on you, were you watching that in a mirror?
No.
Like, could you see it forming? And like, you
No.
see?
And I didn't, the first time I knew what she would paint, but I didn't know how it looked.
Mm.
And the second time, I didn't even know exactly what she was going to paint, the subject. And you cannot
Oh,
tell. It's so funny because you feel every touch, but
sure.
it could have been a house and it could have been a piano. Like, you cannot tell.
That's trusting to let somebody put that on there. Did you have a conversation? Was the artist a her or him?
Both times it was a her, different person.
Okay. Did you have a conversation being like, this is what I would like? Or you just said, you took your robe off and went, go after it?
Well, because it's connected with the book, I gave ideas, I pitched ideas,
Okay.
broad, themes.
Okay. And then the first time was when you were reading from the book while you were getting painted, correct?
Yeah.
Was that in front of a crowd?
It wasn't a big stage.
That's cool. God damn, that's really neat.
Outdoors this summer.
Did you have fun with that? Was that a crazy experience?
Well, you tell me, yes, it was a super crazy experience, not just for the thing in itself, like the performance, but because the story in the book is very much something that I have lived in first person.
Okay, cool.
And I never thought that I was going to make that into a story, and that I would publish it, and that I would share it with other people in this form. Because as an author, then the way you share is you publish the book, and you don't see your audience taking your art in, but on stage, I was reading it, so I was delivering it like this live, and I was thinking, and while I was reading, I really thought how crazy life is. Like, there I was exactly a year ago or less, experiencing these things, not knowing that I was going to make them into a story and publish the story. And here I am in another region in Italy, someplace else, sharing those images, words, thoughts, feelings with a large group of people. Just random, like that gave me goosebumps. Yeah, absolutely.
And people that are listening to this just audio and they're not watching the YouTube channel, first of all, you should jump over and get your ass on it. But watching your face right then when you were describing being on stage, and like right now, you're beet red and smiling. It's amazing. That's awesome.
Oh,
Good for you. Good for you.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a great story. But the thing is, though, so you're saying your book is about something that happened to you? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of my personal experience.
So what made you want to put it in a book?
Yeah, good question. It's that at some point this is a story that unfolds over a summer, if that's correct English. So the story lasts a summertime, so to speak. And it is the case that is true about last year's summer. And by the end of the summer, this experience was kind of coming to a close or drastically changing its mood or flavor. And I would be so filled with these feelings and emotions and love and thoughts. And at some point, I've always written very much, and I've always loved writing. And I have even more consciously in recent years discovered the therapeutic or cathartic effect that writing can have. And this has nothing to do with publication. You just write for yourself. You just put your thoughts on paper. And so I sat down one evening, I remember, just out of burning urge. I just had to get these stories, basically everything I had experienced over the summer kept passing before my eyes, like obsessively, like in a fever. And the beautiful images, it wasn't nothing tragic, And I sat down and I just had to say it. I literally just had to say it. And from the beginning, it started like a story, like you tell a story, like give an example. If you ask your grandfather, tell me how you met my grandmother, how was it? And he could just answer, say, oh, we were here and there. Or he could say, well, son or grandson, kid, it was a beautiful early May, and the
Sure.
cherry blossoms were like this, he can
Yeah.
introduce the scenario like that, and it's already a story.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is that, just in case, because I'm often asked about this because there is an overlap with my personal experience, I have to make the disclaimer: this is not my journal, not an account of what happened.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
it's something that came from my experience, but even me writing it, I was observing, first of all, I was observing. It was just coming out of me. I didn't make many conscious decisions as to what to omit and what to, emphasize.
So you were
I just
like,
wrote it.
you were data dumping, Boop. Right? You were just dumping everything on a page. Now, were you physically writing it or were you typing?
Typing on the
Okay.
computer.
Okay. Okay. I just want...
Typing. And I was doing it for myself primarily. And I started at the end of November last year, and I finished early January of
Wow.
this year, 2022. Not that I was writing every day, but this is the time it took to put the thing together. And it's so hard. I don't know if I ever write another book and it will be easier to talk about this, because there's something magic about it. I love the way it turned out, but the omissions or the way I put something or the authenticity, you see, it doesn't matter if what happened and that I tell in the book is true or not, but it's authentic. And I think that's why it will speak to people.
Sure.
It's authentic to the point that even if it's a woman living a certain thing in a certain context, she has certain existential questions that resonate with everybody. So someone may not like the book. I mean, come on, many people will not like the book. That's okay. But I think that if there is something that this book can give to people, is this authenticity, honesty, and it's very straightforward. It's very easy to read. I didn't want to make it complex and philosophical. Again, you see, you can transmit very deep and even complex existential thoughts in a very plain language. Almost poetic. Actually, poetry, that's what it is. In a
Sure.
few words, it condenses a world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's this story very much based on something that I have lived last year, but at the same time, it really transcends my experience. And I loved writing it. I didn't make it up much. This is not fiction in the sense that I sat down there and came up with a story. Like, I'll never know how Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings or someone wrote Harry Potter. I don't think I'm that kind of, what I want to say, creative thinker. I don't come up with totally fictional characters.
You're
I
right,
always,
right
yeah.
from the heart, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or when I resonate with someone else, I maybe can write from their perspective, but it's not
Okay.
fantasy.
Right,
It's
right, right.
always
Sure,
something
sure.
very real to me. And of course, it's not that Harry Potter is fantasy, like I just poof made it up, because if it speaks to you, it means that there's something also authentic behind, but it's a different talent. I don't have that talent to make up those stories.
Yeah, yeah. No, your enthusiasm that's coming through the microphone and you talking, and again, your body language and everything, people just need to see it. If even if a fraction of that enthusiasm is in the book, you gotta fucking read it.
Look, I think that I have so much respect for literature, and I think that there is enough stuff that gets printed that, what do you say, paper is patient? Is that an expression?
What is it? What'd you say?
Paper is patient. Actually, that's a literal translation from a Dutch expression, papier is geduldig, which is the exact translation of what we say in Italian, which is la carta si fa scrivere. That means basically what I want to say is that just because something gets written on paper, it's not necessarily good. And oh boy, we publish a lot of books nowadays. Every day so many new books get published. So I resisted very much before publishing this one. I just wrote it, and I felt that sense that I described before, like, oh, I got it out of me, and I said it. And I shared it with some friends, also in English, because I have so many friends abroad that anything I do, the first thing I do, if it's in Italian, I translate it to English.
Mm-hmm.
So I circulated it a little bit among, you could say, 40, 50 people, friends, and they read it. And some of them started saying, I thought as a joke, why don't you publish it? Just because it's a book doesn't mean you should publish it.
Right.
Maybe, why don't you publish it? And they were insistent. And at some point I said, well, you know what? Why do I have to decide that this is not worth publishing? I'll do what you do in scientific publishing. You submit your manuscript to an editor, and they will tell you if they are interested in it or not, if it's good or if it's not good. Actually, a commercial editor or a publisher will not tell you if it's good or not, but whether if it works or not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. But the
So
thing is,
I just want to say this because probably, it's something that I like to say. I sent the manuscript to 9 publishers in Italy, here in the region. And within the week, 4 of them responded that they were interested to publish the thing basically as was.
wow, nice. Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
That's pretty
4.
cool. That's pretty cool. That's not, usually you get I sent it to 50 people and
we regret to inform you.
Yeah. Yeah. And 48 of them ghosted me. And the other 2 were like, yeah, we regret to inform you. So
yeah.
Nice job. Nice job. But the thing is, though, when you sitting there with regret saying, or not regret, doubt saying, should I publish or not? Now go back to your podcast. When you start that in 2018, correct me if I'm wrong, the same reason I started mine is because this is what I enjoy doing. This gives me a platform to enjoy doing. And my thought was, if I enjoy this, there's got to be other people that enjoy it as well.
That wasn't my thought process.
You were just like, but like on your book. So if that made you feel good.
No, that wasn't.
No? See, that's my thought process. Like if I really think it's fun and it speaks to me and it flows out and I can't stop thinking about it, there's got to be other people that enjoy it or are touched by it in some way. So that's my way to, yeah.
We're just different. I think we resonate with different things. I think you're completely right. I just don't think that way. But because I would respond to that by saying it would feel presumptuous of me. I would feel presumptuous to think that if I enjoy this, then other people will. But I just don't resonate with that thought. That's why I think like that, because I resonate with authenticity. And I think that if it's authentic, or I think it is, I feel it is, I know other people will know it's authentic. Then they will respond the way they want, but it's true.
It's real. It's real.
It's real.
And that really speaks to me as well. When I watch something, read something, listen to something, the authenticity comes out of it, or the lack of authenticity. If they're phoning it in, they're just doing it because they think that's the new thing and this is what I should be doing. I just can't listen to them. You can tell by listening to them that that's what they're doing, Me, anyway. Well, I can pick that up.
Well, I can tell you that some thoughts I had to overcome before deciding to even submit the manuscript to the publisher was, does the world need another book? Of course not. And I wrote this and I'm satisfied. My friends read it, so they know. Like, why? Who would want to read something I wrote? So, there's that voice that puts you down a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the answer, actually, the way out of that is not, oh, yes, the world needs another book. And, oh, yes, people will love what I wrote. It's just the world could do without another book. But you know what? Why not? It's something nice. I'm not killing anyone. It's something nice. Why not? It's just an offer to the world. I don't push. In fact, what I'm truly interested in is circulating the energy of the story or the story itself, not pushing the sales.
Well,
at all.
Well,
that should be a side effect.
You hit a home. See, I agree. I've been in sales my whole life since I'm 20 years old. And I agree with you 1,000% right there. And when people come on my show and they have some product, I get hit up all the time. I want to come up and pump this product. And it ranges from perfume to cars, and it's crazy. When you hit me up, I researched you. I found you very interesting. And I'm like, I would like to have you on. But then we talk and I say, hey, listen, we're not going to spend an hour talking about your book, because I believe, people listening to our conversation and they hear about your body painting and your languages and the places you've been and that type of thing. And then at the end, you're like, oh shit, she's got a book. I'll check it out. I agree 100% with you. 100%. Just be natural. And that's just my natural way of doing things. I don't push anything on anybody. You want to join me?
Can I show it?
Yeah, sure. Is that a naked woman?
I got it. Yeah, that's a woman's back. And if you read the story, you'll know why that heart is there. And of course, this is in Italian, but you find it also in English and Dutch on Amazon as ebook.
Okay.
With pictures, color pictures. This doesn't have pictures.
Okay.
And I'm working on printing the English version, but then I'm not sure how to get it around the world. But the ebook is less. It's also less than $3. So I really don't feel ashamed or guilty telling it, because it's really coffee.
Well, and, I was going to say they'll spend more than that on Starbucks. So
please notice. Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
Matching nail polish, because now it's.
I like your marketing. That's amazing. I like that. All right, I got to get you out of here.
More.
I got to have you back on because I still have a bunch of questions. So
more.
I get you. That's amazing. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I tell you, man, I still got goosebumps. Great conversation. Very inspiring. But we got to shut this down. Thanks again. Talk to you soon, okay? So what'd you think, man? Would you get up on that stage and have somebody paint while you read a book or did something else to entertain the crowd in front of you while they watch you get all that done? I would love to hear from you about that. Jump over in the show notes, and everywhere you can find this crazy lady is there, and I bet you she would love to speak with you. All right, I'm going to get you out of here because I know you got shit to do, but don't forget, Live Rishi. These guys make awesome CBD product. Tincture and the Rishi Rub is amazing. LiveRishi.com. Use code word table, 50% off the whole thing. That'll tell them I sent you. Appreciate it. And, of course, my website, BRawPodcast.com. Everything you need to know about the show. And you want to come on or have questions, hit me up there, or Instagram, BRawPodcast. And I answer all my DMs there. So, hailing from you, where in the boom days of Atlantic City, the Parker brothers, the game company, took inspiration from Atlantic City to make the classic game of Monopoly. So if you look at Monopoly and all the names of the streets and you look at a map of Atlantic City, they all match. And that's from the great state of New Jersey. All right, man. Be good, be cool, don't act cool. Till next time.